Hey everybody, it's Allison, Senior Ruby Ambassador with Plexus, and I've got Tori with me here.
Yes.
We wanted to come on. I know Tuesday Talk is normally live, and y'all, we love doing this live for you, but we've been having some major computer disagreements with Facebook lately, and it hasn't been letting us go live where you guys can hear both of us. And it's been really frustrating. So the next best thing until we can get that figured out is just to record this together so we can still talk and chat. We will be going back through the comments and reading everything and replying and all that. So we will still be available. But this is the best way that we can get the two of us on to cover, because we work hard on these topics for y'all and we really enjoy doing this. So this is the next best thing right now is putting out a recorded version. So anyway, like I said, but we've got Tori. You can hear both of us, hopefully, so everything's good. And y'all, the time has changed since we got on last time, which unfortunately was 2 weeks ago because of these computer things. So the time has changed. It's getting darker earlier. I don't know about you, Tori, but I have been tired. Have you been tired?
Yeah, I saw a meme yesterday, and it was, now it's 5 p.m. and everybody's sad and tired earlier, but at least we got that 1 hour extra of sleep that one time. And I was like, is there anything truer? Oh my gosh. I remember just like dreading the time changes. Like, cause I think once you're a parent, like it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Time changes.
All like extra hour of sleep? What? Nobody told the kids.
Right, right. Yeah, now it's just, you leave the house when it's dark and you come home when it's dark, and that's pretty much where it's at.
Yeah, and that meme's totally true. I think it's funny. I didn't get to see that one, but I'm looking now. But yeah, like when you leave and it's dark and you get home and it's dark, like that messes with your body's natural rhythm. Like normally we have that, circadian rhythm where you wake up and it's bright and your body's like, woohoo, let's hit the serotonin. And then it gets dark and your body's like, okay, time for melatonin. We're going to relax and get tired. And your body does that naturally. But there are plenty of ways that we mess with that cycle on our own in the first place. But then you add in time change. And when it gets dark at 5 o'clock, your body's like, oh, sweet, melatonin, let's get tired. And you're like, no, I have like hours worth of things to do.
No, not yet.
Exactly. So we just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about ways that y'all can kind of combat that change that comes with the time change, that getting a little tired earlier, maybe feeling a little blah, feeling yucky. It can go as far as seasonal affective disorder, but most of us just kind of have blues. You're just like, because it's darker earlier and you're not outside, you're not doing all these things. So we just wanted to talk a little bit about some ways that you guys can make some changes that will help you feel a little bit better and hopefully help manage this time change a little bit better until maybe somebody decides to quit doing it.
Right.
I kind of liked that. I'm wearing my Phoenix sweatshirt today. Living in Arizona was wonderful. Because
right. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I was like, I do not miss that at all. And now
right.
I'm back in the time change again. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think, we have some tips for you guys on what to do and like what not to do. Allison mentioned SAD earlier, which is seasonal affective disorder. And it's something that I struggled with immensely. I remember being a teenager and my mom, what did help was changing the light bulbs. I used to go tanning. Now, obviously I want to avoid the tanning beds. But that was the only thing that I could think of that could help. And even then I was still struggling. And it wasn't anything crazy, but it was just constant lethargy. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to do the normal things I wanted to do. And before I knew it, I had just completely closed myself off. And doing things like melatonin, where, it might sound like a good idea, but your body should be, if it's running and functioning properly, should be producing that in, sufficient quantities on its own. And so what happens when you take a fully functioning body that's, producing melatonin, that's just trying to adjust, and you're putting in that supplement, it's telling your body, hey, I don't really need that. I don't need you to do that. We already got that taken care of. So we're good. And your body's like, okay, full stop. Yep. And then what happens is it is a complete hormone disruptor. And then you're completely dependent on it. I know that I used to take it like candy. Allison, I know you said you were taking it. to the point where I was like washing it down with wine because I'm like, okay, now the melatonin isn't really working and I'm at max dosages. I'm like, what can I do to sleep? And I had no idea that supplementation and being mindful was so important during these seasons of change. I think it was, I started 3 years ago, and it was Black Friday. And that was right as the seasons were changing in Italy. They have a longer fall, which is nice. Here in Ohio, fall lasts for maybe 2 weeks. And then we go to winter, we're already expecting snow. And I noticed a difference right away when I started getting on my probiotics and my Mega X and stuff like that and supplementing. But I know that Allison was going to go into a few tips, and we're going to kind of go back and forth on what we've both found that has helped along with supplementing and stuff like that. Allison, when you noticed that you were struggling with the time changes, what are some things that you decided to do?
First off, my go-to was melatonin, same as what you were saying. I mean, it was like, well, nobody's tired yet. If it was, the spring or whatever, like, just give them melatonin, go sleep. Right. It was just, that was what we did because we didn't know any different and nobody was sleeping well. So, I mean, I would panic if I ran out of melatonin because I was like, nobody in my house is going to sleep.
Right.
And, we just didn't know. But I found myself sad. I didn't have any good coping mechanisms. And so, getting healthier and starting supplementation has been huge for me because I've started to learn more about coping mechanism stuff and learn more about, like you said, being mindful, like managing your stress, doing that kind of stuff. And for me, I'm an extrovert. So for me, I get into that kind of fall, like today it's outside, it's rainy, it's yuck. Like, I live by the beach. I want to go outside. I want to go see people and do things. And like, that's my jam. That's what I want to do. But in the fall and in the winter, as it gets colder and colder, I'm like, I don't want to go outside. Like, again, lived in Arizona. My blood is thin. I get cold. Like under 60, I'm like bundled up at church on Sunday. And they were like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm freezing. But I just don't go outside as often because I don't like being that cold. And I find that like, getting around people and that makes a big difference for me because I'm happier when I'm around people. So I like things like all the holiday parties that are coming up and everybody's doing little things, and so involving yourself in that kind of stuff I think is really big to keep your mood elevated and to keep you feeling better and more energized. But I mean that's one of the things that I've done. I know my daughter, she was big into journaling. That was something that helped her a lot. And when she was feeling kind of blah and down and stuff, she would journal a lot and write down things that made her happy. And, it's what you focus on, you get more of and you see more of, right? So if you're writing down and you're journaling the things that are making you happy, you're going to look for those and you're going to feel more of those and you're going to notice more of those. And that's a really big thing. So I know that helped her because I don't think she was never actually diagnosed with the seasonal affective disorder, but what you were saying earlier, Tori, reminded me a lot of some of the stuff my daughter went through.
Yeah. I just shut myself in my room and it wasn't even like a bad mood. It was just indifference. And I just felt nothing.
Just blah.
It was almost even scarier. So I did a lot of journaling as well. That mindfulness. Did you? So important. And for her to be able to do that at such a young age, that's super impressive. My mom is a therapist, so she kind of, she really helped me out. But for her to be able to get onto that at such a young age, that is really impressive.
Well, we did have help from a therapist, so.
That's awesome.
Yes.
No, there's no shame in that. I think,
it's wonderful.
I think anybody, whether you would say I'm struggling or not, I think anybody can benefit from it. And what you said about getting outside, I'm like an ambivert. So, I can play the part of an extrovert very, very well. But then I definitely need time to like by myself, recharge. But, even if you're not around a bunch of people, just getting outside in nature, although it might be, cold or getting colder, the sun is still providing vitamin D. And it's still something that our body needs, especially in the natural state of it. Getting outside, even if it's snowy, making snow angels, playing with your kids, or, just doing what you can to stay active outside still. I'm not saying, go out and get frostbite, but there's still a lot to enjoy outside, even in the colder months. I think that that's super important to still get outside, get the fresh air, because sometimes when you're cooped up, everybody's like rebreathing the same air, germs, and just getting out fresh air. I think I've seen, have you seen those Icelandic traditions where they jump literally into the cold water at the beginning of
that here on
the immune system? Yeah. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not that brave, but that's super cool.
Oh, it was super cold. All right. We did it last year.
Oh my gosh.
Coldest it's ever been for the dolphin dip.
I don't like being cold as I jump into the freezing water.
Yeah, we go they call it the dolphin dip. We jump in the ocean.
That is so fun.
So yeah, it was quite cold, but it's invigorating. It's fun to be outside. It's good to be, in there. And then you get grounding too, which kind of helps, take some of all the ions out that, all of our electronics and things are providing and building up in our body, and that grounding is a really, really important thing. So that helps with being outside. A little tougher when you got to wear the shoes because it's cold, but yeah, definitely
energy. And, that in turn, if I've had a full day, I've got fresh air, I've seen people, I'm ready to, wind down at night, and my body sleeps so soundly.
Yeah,
not all bound up, cooped up, stuck inside, and then it's time to lay down in the same room that I've probably been in for hours scrolling on my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because you kind of get in a rut of doing whatever you were doing.
Right.
And then, if you're inside and, like you said, you're on your phone or whatever, you're inside, and then you're just like, oh, well, then I'll do this. Well, and you just kind of stay there.
Or you fall asleep
on the couch to get up. What's that?
Or if you're hanging out inside, fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
Now it's bedtime, and guess what I did earlier,
Yeah, and that's part of smart sleeping that I was going to talk about, watching out for napping. Because if you're napping during the day, especially with the shorter days, your body's even more confused about going to bed. So like you said, you nap and then you're like, it's not bedtime. Now it's bedtime. And you're like, yeah. Okay,
binge watch a few things or scroll on, again, and then that screen time, they say that you should cut that off, right?
You're getting that ambient light in, and it messes with the melatonin and the serotonin that should be naturally produced. It's messing with all that if you're getting that bright screen time and stuff in a dark room. So that makes a big, big difference. And being consistent on your timing of going to bed and timing of waking up, so that your body finds the schedule even without as much light.
Right.
That makes a big difference as well. So let's see. I want to make sure we're covering all our points. I'm just peeking.
I was going to say.
I was going to talk real quick about eating right also, and then I'll pass it off to you to kind of finish up. But eating right over the holidays, it's we were talking about the parties and how it's great to be around and socialize with people, but there's a ton of stuff to eat. Everybody's got pies and cakes and pastry, sweets galore, and your blood sugar's doing this. So you've got to keep that balanced. So much better having balanced energy for the day. I know my pink drink is I can't live without it anyway, but especially in the holidays. Yeah, it is clutch for sure. And so that can actually, if your blood sugar's doing this all day long, that can actually make you more tired, and it makes that mood, you're crankier, you're more irritable, you just feel more blah. So keeping that stable is really helpful. So, eating vegetables and proteins and whole grains, things like that. Drinking lots of water. Sometimes we forget about drinking a lot of water when it's not hot outside.
Right.
And then the very first thing that happens when you're dehydrated is you get tired.
Right.
And you're exhausted. So, making smart choices, keeping your blood sugar balanced, and plenty of water, those things are going to help as well with just keeping your energy going throughout the day so you don't feel so blah and tired. But there's a lot more you can do as far as, keeping your gut healthy, as, in addition to eating well and doing all that kind of stuff. So, what do you have for us on gut health, the side of how that affects it all?
Well, for one thing, I know that when my gut was out of whack, even when I tried to eat healthy, like I just, like something, like there was just a missing link. Like something wasn't connecting and I wasn't seeing the results I wanted. And so
Me too.
you know what I mean? So when I added in a good quality probiotic, and, you know, mind you, I tried like almost every single one of them, wasted like buckets of money on probiotics that I didn't see anything with. So when I did start the Plexus probiotic, it was huge. And so, you know, I had already made those changes in my health, you know, as far as eating. I don't like to call it a diet, but it all kind of fell together. So like you were saying, you know, if you're at a holiday party, you don't want to deprive yourself. Just make good decisions, you know, instead of going for that pop, some water, you know, or even tea. I think you were mentioning it's harder to get in water. I've started drinking a lot more tea this time of year. So it's not necessarily cold, but it's still something warm and it's still water.
Yeah.
But I know that when you know, everything fell in line, I wasn't having the same skin issues or mood issues or digestion issues, or I was sleeping better. My anxiety, you know, I still have to be very careful about it. I still have to be on top of it. But it wasn't keeping me awake anymore. I wasn't waking up in the middle of the night anymore. So you guys, if you feel like you're doing everything right, you know, you know, I'm being very careful about what I'm eating. I'm trying to stick to a routine. And you haven't tried a quality probiotic, I implore you guys to see what difference that would make. Because as much as we can put on ourselves to, you know, have a perfect routine and have a perfect diet and drink all the right things and think all the right things and journal and meditate, you cannot outdo a bad gut. You just cannot. You can do a lot of things to help with that, but if you don't have that crucial piece, you know, it's always going to be missing something. So if you guys, you know, listen to this, you're like, I've tried this, and you still haven't found a good probiotic that works for you, y'all, I encourage you, reach out to the person that added you to this page, reach out to any of us, and we would love to answer any questions you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that made all the difference for me too, because I felt very similar, where I was doing all the right things. I was eating really well, clean, organic, low carb. I was doing.
I'm going to bed by 9. I'm like, you know, I'm like, what else? Like, I feel like I'm 80 years old right now.
Girl, I was going to bed by 7. I was on the couch
Right?
like
this. Yeah. Start a movie, and Mark was just making fun of me. He was like, oh, it's about that time of year where Victoria starts a movie and she's asleep about 5 minutes in. I'm like, but it's really good sleep. But I'm sleeping really soundly.
That's a good thing, right? That's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess I don't really have anything else. If you don't have anything else, so I guess we can let everybody go for now. And like I said, thank y'all for tuning in and for watching. We miss being live and we miss the interaction with y'all, but you know, we do appreciate y'all watching this, and we'll be watching in the comments and answering questions. So hit us up with whatever you got, and y'all have a fabulous day.
Yep. Bye, guys.